Jordan Bateman from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation here to speak to the no side. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I should mention News 1130 has a greater debate, greater discussion happening tonight. We'll chat more about that. But Bill just spoke to the benefits of what this can do for overcrowding in the city. You say no. Why is no the best answer for Metro Vancouver?
Well, there's no wrong reason to vote no. Everyone has their own reasons. For me, I just don't trust TransLink with more of my money. This is a corporation that already gets $1.4 billion a year. If they get their way with this plan, they'll be managing $2.2 billion a year. I can't reward that wasteful organization with $800 million more dollars.
The idea of going after TransLink is a clever strategy because it's an emotional cue for many, given the timing of what's happened with TransLink. But what about the idea of the benefit of what can change? There's serious issues with overcrowding on trains, gridlock, lost productivity. There are fair arguments, and before we become a congested city, what are the possible solutions here? It's easy to say TransLink's going to mismanage the money, but what are the solutions?
Well, first you've got to fix TransLink. That's always been number one for me. But there are other solutions. If you go to notranslink.ca/better plan, you'll see they could actually fund this out of future growth. So, Bill talks about the million people moving to the region. Well, why shouldn't they be chipping in for this? We've seen that at the local government level over the past 10 years, that their revenues have grown by 6% every single year across the Lower Mainland. So we're saying if you just earmarked 0.5% of that going forward, you could fund their entire plan. They wouldn't need a sales tax. They wouldn't need to come back to us for a plebiscite. They would have found the money through this growth that's coming. Critics
of that campaign, of what you're saying with the no TransLink tax, have say that's not even feasible with the numbers you guys are throwing out there. What do you really see is a possibility for getting this money together in a short period of time to create change? If not this, the most effective plan B?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. The mayors do have a plan B. The mayor of Surrey has said she'll build light rail with or without a yes vote. She has a plan B for hers. And the Patello toll bridge is a toll bridge. It doesn't need this tax. It's only in there to trick drivers into supporting the tax. It will be replaced, TransLink says, with or without a yes vote. So 2 of the 3 big infrastructure projects have plan Bs already. But the growth is a perfectly legitimate way to fund this. Do you really think that the mayors can't get by with, say, 4.5% growth in their revenues every year? Of course they can. If this is really the top regional priority going forward, earmark some of the money that's going to be generated by this growth towards it.
How many plans do you think are in place on the Mayor's Council side is saying that there's no plan B as it stands right now?
The mayors are saying there's no plan B because the mayor's campaign's all been about fear. Fear that we're all going to get cancer if we don't vote for it. Fear that, the fire trucks won't be able to get to your house. Fear that, the infrastructure is going to fall apart. That's the only thing they've run on is fear. It's irrelevant. There is a plan B. The mayor of Surrey has one for hers. The Patello Bridge is a toll bridge. Some of these other smaller projects, frankly, the ones with the best cost benefit when you look at the mayor's own studies as far as reducing traffic, they're relatively cheap and can be funded through finding efficiencies. So there are plan Bs. The only one that doesn't have one might be the Arbutus subway, but that's more a failure of Gregor Robertson's leadership after 10 years in power than of regional taxpayers not paying enough money to TransLink.
Well, this affects more than just the city of Vancouver. You've been on the Langley Township Council. You voted for transit increases, south of the Fraser River. What's changed for you year after year to go from voting for tax increases to the stance you have now?
Well, look, the funny thing about the mayors is they want to paint me as some sort of rabid anti-trans, anti-tax person, but my record shows I'm not. I want more transit south of the Fraser, absolutely. But I don't trust TransLink to deliver it. And over the years, we've seen TransLink just go out of control. Right now, we're posting waste stories on our website, 1 a day. We're in week 8. We have 90 waste stories to roll out. These are ways that TransLink have blown your hard-earned tax dollars. Right up to just today, the campaign to try to buy a yes vote, $7 million tax dollars. They can't raise money from average people because average people are already contributing through their taxes. So there's so much waste at TransLink, so much waste that can be looked at and reassessed, and that we can put to better use.
How has the governance model of TransLink changed, and how could it change even more to get you on side with the idea of this improvement?
Well, TransLink has lost the public's confidence, and it does take time to rebuild that. I think the biggest change needs to be openness and accountability. You've got to center that whole organization around letting the public know how decisions are made. Right now, they have 6 boards of directors. None of them meet in public. They all meet behind closed doors, make these billion-dollar decisions for us with our tax money, but don't let us see how they got there. Don't let us see any of their decision-making process. So no matter what happens, whether it goes back to the Transit, BC Ministry of Transportation, whether the mayors have a bigger role, whatever happens, openness and accountability needs to become the 2 most important things at TransLink.
Accountability comes with the trust and transparency transparency with TransLink. That's been a hot topic, even from some of our viewers out there. But this idea of if there is a no vote, what is the next best step here? Because there is a great concern of what happens with Metro Vancouver, climate change, and congestion here in our city.
Well, TransLink needs to be repaired. We need to figure out a way to rebuild public confidence. When
you talk about TransLink, and we've covered that off, and I think it's a fair point, but the idea of plans in place, if there is a no vote, what is the next best thing to do for Metro Vancouver?
Light rail gets built by Surrey with their Plan B. We know the Patello Toll Bridge gets done. That gives you 2 huge infrastructure projects that get underway while we deal with trying to rebuild TransLink's social license.
But there are various other growing areas out there that won't be served. I mean, those are 2 great, examples.
Surrey's the biggest growing area, though, right? And this is supposedly all about trying to service growth. They have another Plan B. They don't like to talk about it, but the mayor has never backed down from it, even though she supports this tax.
How often do you take a transit as it stands right now to experience what the average person is frustrated with?
I'm not a regular transit user. I'm an occasional transit user. I have 3 kids, so the minivan is kind of our transit, so we're definitely efficient as far as the carpooling goes. But, in Langley, there isn't a lot of transit, and I live on a street where 60,000 people are moving into the area, and this plan has nothing for them as far as transit goes.
All right, well, some insights there on the no side. Jordan, thanks for coming on. This discussion is going to continue tonight, News 11:30. Jordan will be there, so will Bill Thielman, to continue and take more of your questions. So 7 p.m. tonight, you can check it out. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right.